I really need to finish the house this week. And I will. After examining my roof, I determined that yes, I indeed needed to return to the Nether for more blackstone. So I grabbed my buckets for collecting lava, headed back through the portal to the basalt deltas, and started collecting the blackstone. In the process of mining the blackstone, I happened upon some gold. That would be nice once I got Silk Touch on my pickaxe. I figured placing a torch on the block would be a good way to make sure I didn't lose track of it. It is super close to the portal, but again, I do not trust future me to remember that it's here. I finally stopped once I reached 3 stacks. That might be too much, but I hate having to stop a project midway just because I don't have enough resources. Anyway, time to go home. Home sweet, almost finished home. And I just realized I didn't fill these buckets. Back into the furnace barrel until my next nether trip. Did you know that 1 stack of blocks makes 2 stacks of slabs? Because I think I forgot. This may be just slightly too many slabs. At least this section is done. And now it's raining! Perfect timing! Well, except for that half of the house, I guess. I wonder what goodies I will get this time. Cod. Okay, that's good. Ah, salmon. A saddle! How useless! Unless I just keep a collection of them in the trophy tower, perhaps. I can foresee transporting multiple saddles to the tower quickly becoming tedious, though. A pufferfish! When I play on peaceful mode, I will either trade them for emeralds or eat them because I think the visual effect that happens afterwards is funny. Probably won't do that in this world, though, because that would be lethal. Ah, a bowl! I already have a bunch, but this is fine, I guess. Oh, nice! Another book! I hope it's something useful! Ah. Smite 4. And Knockback 2. Well, the good news is I'll have a source of XP when I finally get mending. And a book. Leather doesn't grow on trees, after all. Though I guess they've found a way to make leather out of cactus in real life, so... Mojang, if you're listening, it's an idea. It wasn't a very exciting night. I got another saddle and a bow. I'll probably just use the bow for the XP, too. Oh, wait, since it has mending, I could heal it, then disenchant, then use it to craft a dispenser. I don't know why I'd need a dispenser, but it's an option. The rain stopped the very next morning, so I dumped the items in the appropriate areas, and fixed the array for the blast furnace. This has been bothering me ever since I edited last week's video. Ah, much better. I also added 2 more barrels to fill in the space above the arrays. You can never have too much storage. But I forgot the block under the hopper. Okay, now it's fixed, and I've placed it wrong. And now it's finally fixed for real this time. I still need the fuel hoppers, but this is fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. With that handled, I could resume working on the roof, attic, and 2nd floor. I didn't mind the blackstone ceiling, but I hated the way this terracotta stuck out between the blackstone and the spruce slabs. So I made an archway. Ah, also much better. It was now time to start adding in the barrels for the attic. And now for the roof. As you can see, I have a problem with sometimes placing the stairs upside down. Would you like to guess what happens in a few seconds when I get to the edge of the roof? 2.5 hearts. But alas, my hunger was full, so I couldn't eat a stew. And do you think that I learned my lesson? I did not. But somehow I was now able to eat the stew. So now I have 5.5 hearts. I determined that part of the issue was that I was trying to place the stairs using the other stairs hitbox. This could be at least partially solved by placing in the last of the terracotta. Also, this means I am now done collecting terracotta for the house. Hooray! If I had fireworks, now would be the time to set them off. Maybe I will make a dispenser after all. Thankfully, there were no further incidents when placing in the rest of the attic roof. Finally, day 35, the roof is done. Not sure what I'll put in these barrels, but again, you can never have too much storage. I used some of the remaining terracotta to add another archway. The uneven ceiling just felt weird. It was at this point that I realized I needed to add in some kind of banister. It's not high enough that I'm worried about fall damage, but I think it looks better with the trapdoors. I then got distracted with finishing the bedroom wall before I could finish adding in the trapdoors. I want to put glowstone in the corners, but I don't have silk touch. Yet. Again, I got distracted when I realized I hadn't finished adding the shutters. At least my distractions have been productive. I then faced the question of what to do when the window was only 1 block high. I didn't really like it, but I wasn't sure what else to do. That is, until I realized I could just get rid of these bottom 2 blocks and extend the window. Now that's more like it. Unfortunately, I can't do the same thing here. Ah well, I can't expect to have everything I want. Will anyone even see the shutters up here? Probably not. Will it bother me anyway? Absolutely. If a tree falls in the forest but no one is around to hear it, it still makes a noise. And if this window does not have shutters but I don't look at it, it will still haunt me. It's called being thorough and taking pride in your work. I do not have a problem. Finally, the outside was done. With the exception of the glass for the windows, of course. Wait, I forgot the porches. And I'm realizing that maybe I should have left that window be 1 block tall. Okay, it took the whole day, but I think I figured it out. It's really dark, though. Okay, much better. I needed a break before I could tackle the front porch, so I made some locator maps. I still needed glass for the windows, so I would be returning to the desert I found on day 31. Since the desert is in the southwest corner of the map, I planned on taking 3 empty locator maps to link to the sections to the west, southwest, and south of my main map. Next morning, I was finally done with the front porch. The top part that is currently polished basalt might change, though. With that finished, I made my way southwest, and found a new cave on the way. I may have to return. With how common unsupported sand is in the desert, I wasn't too keen on traveling at night, so I slept. Next morning, I carefully made my way to the southwest corner so I could start the 3 maps. There's the south map, the southwest map, and the west map. I figured this area would be relatively safe to dig, so I gathered my sand. With over 3 stacks in my inventory, I decided to head home. Yeah, I think changing this to a back door was the right call after all. And all that running means I can eat more stew, which means I'm back at full health again. Finally, I could add the windows. I keep telling myself to use the other colors of stained glass, but white just seems to work the best for most of my builds. Maybe that's something I could challenge myself to do later on. On another build, of course. I'm not swapping out the white panes here. Predictably, I required more bone meal. And with the attic windows in, the outside of the house was finally done. I decided to celebrate by sleeping again. I think I could get used to waking up like this. I could really get used to this. I decided to make a copy of the original map. I don't have the leather yet for item frames, but I'd like to make a map wall eventually. I then proceeded to get very confused. I couldn't remember which map was which of the 3 I had just made so that I could properly rename them. In retrospect, it would have been easy to tell if I had just zoomed the maps out like I was planning to anyway so that they matched the scale of the home map and then renamed them, but oh well. Hopefully I'll remember for next time. I wouldn't hold your breath, though. Eventually I figured it out and made the copies for each map, too. I'm thinking that one of these 2 walls in this room will become the map wall, so I'll be keeping the extra maps in this barrel. Finally, I remembered to finish adding in the trapdoors around the stairwell. I would need to move the crafting table and the stonecutter, though. That's more like it. Great news! I figured out a permanent location for the smithing table and the stonecutter. I'm really happy with the way this basement area is turning out. And that's where the 2nd floor crafting table can go, which also means I can add a lantern here. The next morning I prepared my inventory and set out to fill in the maps. There was a section of the river that needed to be filled in, so I figured it was best to travel by boat. The river brought me to the top of the south map, but then veered off to the west. I'd have to fill in the rest of the map on foot. It seemed to be more of the same. Desert, savanna, plains. I even found another 4-block-high sugarcane. But I continued on, and lost half a heart because I wasn't paying attention. This is why I brought stew, but I wasn't going to waste stew on half of a heart. The desert continued on. But that's when I found it, a village and a desert temple. I prefer to leave the best for last, so I thought I should check out the village first. This ended up being the correct choice because the previous tenants didn't leave anything good behind. Well, except for the beds for netherite mining. But I wasn't about to fill my inventory with them just yet. Last, and most definitely not least, I investigated the desert temple. I made my way down to the chests. Once at the bottom, I safely gathered all of the TNT and had a look inside at the loot. Among the more noteworthy items were a diamond, 2 golden apples, 24 gunpowder, 12 string, enough to make wool for a bed, and golden horse armor. The last item doesn't have any practical value, but it will make a nice addition to my collection of shiny treasures. However, while I was mining some iron I happened to spot on my way down, I realized just how full my inventory was. I elected to dump the cobblestone. It became worse when I resumed my walk and realized it was raining. I wanted to fish to try to get closer to getting a mending book, but my inventory was already full. I shouldn't have brought the fishing rod with me after all. There are definitely items I could throw away, but I decided to sleep the rain away. I don't think I should fish on this journey. I want to fill in these maps as soon as possible. But that will have to wait until next week. Until next time, take care.